You know, a lot of guys like Andrew Tate, a lot of big speakers have always spoken about Stoicism.
You've referenced Stoicism multiple times, not getting an emotional, thinking rational. Yeah. This was a book that you've subscribed to for years. What is it about Stoicism and not getting caught up in emotions and even triggering emotions that resonates with you?
Well, emotions are feedback. The idea that men don't feel emotions is incorrect. We feel emotions. I would actually argue we feel emotions with certain emotions stronger than women. I would argue that we feel heartbreak stronger than women. I would argue we feel anger like a woman could never understand. I would argue we are extremely emotional.
Rage,
pure rage. But it's feedback.
My father taught me Stoicism, but indirectly. You know, suck it up, boy. You can do anything about it. Why are you crying about it? You can't do anything about it. Stop crying. Because, you know, my father wasn't an educated man. He didn't study philosophy. But so many of these things have been passed down through generations to make men into real men. And I hate using that word real men, but unfortunately it has become part of our lexicon, part of our dialect, where we talking about men who are much more feminine now versus men who are much more masculine. I believe that men should be masculine because they have much more use for society. Not saying that feminine men aren't useful, but most of feminine tasks should be done by females, and the masculine tasks should be done by men. This is the only differentiation that I want to point out. And I want you guys to always understand one thing when you're listening to me in these channels, right? I don't give a shit about being politically correct. I'm not American, I'm not Canadian. I haven't grown up in this society where I got to use these politically correct terms. I will be polite, but I'm not getting into these subtle nuances just so I don't piss off certain groups. I really don't care. Cancel me, you cancel me. Don't care. I will only speak openly and candidly that you guys can understand. That's it. Anyway, Stoicism has always been part of who we are as men. Listen, it's not about just, oh, suck it up and stay strong. What is wrong with you? Stop crying. No, that isn't it. That's not Stoicism.
Stoicism. It's been around for over 2,000 years and it's still popular today, but what actually is it? Well, Stoicism is a school of philosophy that was founded by a Greek chap called Zeno in the 3rd century BC, and it also later became extremely popular in ancient Rome with famous Stoics like Seneca and Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius. The word Stoicism is derived from the Greek poikile stoa, meaning painted porch, referencing the location in Athens where Zeno and his followers gathered to discuss philosophy. So one of the core Stoic beliefs is this idea of the circle of control, essentially where we should try and not worry about the things outside of our control in life, like the weather or the news or what other people think and say about us, but instead focus on the things that we can control, like our attitude towards life, our habits, and our actions. The Stoics also had 4 main virtues that they believed in and lived by: wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance or moderation, which if followed properly would help them achieve their goal of inner peace and tranquility. So
men should cry. You only cry in front of those people where it does not affect.
She likes what she doesn't like. I made plans. I picked the restaurant, the day and the time. You know, I've done everything to be just the kind of guy that would value somebody's time. Like, I'm just looking for my person. I'm just looking for the one that, I guess, is out there for me. I mean, I want to be somebody's husband someday, father. I'm trying to do everything that's right, and I just get stood up. Like my feelings didn't even matter. Sitting there eating a meal by myself and realizing that nobody even cares about people anymore. Like, alien dating shouldn't even be this hard. It shouldn't be this hard to find somebody. It shouldn't be this difficult to fall in love, to be kind to one another. Like, what? Ladies, tell me, what did I do wrong?
Do not cry in front of your woman, for example. I say that with a caveat. Let's say a family member dies. Let's say a tragic event occurs. You cry. Yes, you can show that emotion in front of her because that's expected. That's dramatic. But crying because you can't pay the bills this month, or crying because, you know, you lost a job. No, that's not the kind of tears that you cry in front of your woman. You go and you talk to your boys about that. You go and cry in front of them. Let it out in front of them. Because men look for solutions. They will give you solutions. Your woman, she's going to only try to make you feel good. It's not solution-based. So unless she can give you solutions, that's different. So you go and you cry in front of your brothers and you let it out, you know. And how do we solve problems? With solutions, not emotion, not feeling good. That's the difference. When somebody tick you off, upset you in public, do you lose your self-control because you're emotionally charged?
Watch out, watch out, watch out.
Oh my God.
Damn. Get the back.
Stupid ass.
Oh, he coming up in here. Y'all better get back. Damn. Keep hitting the car.
You go and shoot someone because of how you feel? Or do you think, hey, you know what he said, don't hurt me. Yeah, he might try and insult me. It's not physically hurting me. Move on.
A Stoic never feels offended. One of the greatest representatives of Stoic philosophy was the Roman philosopher and politician Seneca. He believed that a wise Stoic couldn't afford to feel offended, primarily due to the compassion they feel towards others. He argues that when someone tries to offend them, it's not because of inherent malevolence, but because their soul is sick, and it wouldn't be fair to judge them for it. Being angry at someone who is angry is like being upset with a sick person. Instead of anger, we should practice compassion. We aren't offended when someone sneezes or coughs in front of us, as it's not their decision, it's their body that's unwell. Similarly, when someone attempts to offend us, it's not a conscious decision, but a symptom of the pain they carry within. Pain of anger, helplessness, and rage. So rather than reacting with anger, Stoics advocate for responding with compassion and tranquility to the actions of others.
Tell him, I'm sorry that it bothered you. Move on. Only when that person makes the first physical move, then you have the ability to defend yourself. That's different. Otherwise, move on. And if your woman open her mouth about, oh, why are you making him talk? Just tell her, shut up, mind her own business. She don't know what's going on. Take her away from the situation. She will respect you more for it.
Over 30 years ago, during the height of mass incarceration, I was a third-year college student who got fucked up on bullshit and ended up doing a gang of time. One day when I first started doing my time, an old man walked me around the track. And he taught me a few things, and among the things he taught me was in the form of a question. And this is what he asked me. You know why these motherfuckers up in here like this here, don't you? I said, well, yeah, murder. And he said, no, murder might have been the charge, but that ain't the reason why they up in here. I said, well, what's the reason? And he said, for having bitch-ass ways on the street. What? These big, swole, gang-banged out the game motherfuckers from every gang set in the state of California. What the fuck you mean by that? And then he said, let me explain. 90-something% of these dudes right here were raised by women. And as a result, they have female emotional tendencies. That don't make them gay, but it does make them dangerous. I said, what do you mean? And he said, because when you combine male masculinity with female emotional tendencies, you'll kill a motherfucker over how you feel. But you don't never kill a man over how you feel, because tomorrow you're not going to feel that way, but that motherfucker going to be just as dead, and you're going to be up in this camp looking at me. That's why when you get mad, the first thing you have to do is calm down and be quiet. And whatever you have to do after that, you do that shit calmly and quietly or not at all. But that's why these niggas is up in here. They not in here because they was in danger. They in here because they was in their fucking feelings.
If she goes on and runs her mouth, you just grab her by the arm and you pull her out of the situation and reprimand her. Tell her that that's not the way to handle a situation. She'll respect you for it.
To owner Robert Kraft's luxury suite for Saturday's game against the Cincinnati Bengals. Jerry Edmond received a personalized jersey from Kraft, who also invited him and his friends to sit in the owner's box.
How are you, man? Good to see you. I'll tell you, what you did was so classy. And you represent what our whole franchise is about. Building bridges. Yeah, but that's got your my name on it. Name and yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay, maybe you stay with it.
She does it again, not the woman for you. Drop her. That's being stoic. When she puts your life and well-being in jeopardy, time to get rid of that woman. Because for the long term, that is not a woman that's going to elevate you upwards. She's going to put you in the grave or she's going to put you in prison. Understand the difference.
With someone that is not aware of their emotions, someone that doesn't have emotional intelligence, awareness, or regulation. Get ready, because you are going to live your life in a constant state of unnecessary stress, which leads to illness, which leads to disease. And most people don't understand the seriousness of this.
Be stoic, gentlemen. So one of the biggest lessons I would like you guys to take away from understanding Stoicism, learn to understand that not everything is in your control. First of all, identify what is not in your control and have a deep understanding that it would be a waste of energy and time trying to control it. Or even more importantly, thinking about it. It should be a fleeting thought. It should be something that you think about, realize that, hey, I can't do anything about it, let it go. Whether that's in your relationship, politics, anything that you know that is outside your power, outside your control, let it go.
Stoic rules for a better life. Focus on what you control. You got to design your day. Set a routine, set a schedule. Is part of that going to be outside your control? You're going to have to adjust, sure, but life without design is erratic. There's two types of time in life. There's alive time and there's dead time. Dead time is when you're passive. Alive time is when you're making the most of a moment. Focus on the part of that time that's in your control and use it to fully live and be alive. The main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. What's the most important priority? Make sure you design your day. Make sure you focus your energy towards that, and you let other things go. My friend Tim Ferriss has a sign in his house and it just says simplify. It says whenever he's feeling stressed or overwhelmed or like things aren't going the way that he wants them to be, it's probably because things have become too complicated and he has to simplify. Ask yourself what you want to be and then do that thing. And then finally, Stoic practice of memento mori. By focusing on our mortality, it allows us to concentrate on every moment, as Marcus Aurelius says, as if it was the last thing we were doing in our life.
And it's not different from any other philosophy in life. It allows me to let go of shit that I know I can't control. Simple. You know, I also studied a bit of Buddhism, and one of the basic tenets of Buddhism is the act of letting go, not getting attached to anything, having a detachment. Now, some people might think that's a little bit too extreme, that we should become attached to things. Yes, we should enjoy things, but not to the point where it's so obsessive that we can't let it go, even when it causes us pain and suffering. Buddhism identifies that there will always be pain and suffering. Every religion acknowledges this, but it's understanding when to just let go of it. Because anything that we bond ourselves to with extremism, it will be our downfall. It will be our weakness. That includes religion as well, by the way. That's why the term religious extremists has a negative connotation to it. So we got to learn to understand that we live in a world where there will be inequality, there will be constant suffering. But if you keep telling yourself that you're going to be the victim of that and you feel like you have no control over your life on anything, then you will always feel lost. So what I'm saying to you, gentlemen, is when you understand how to be stoic, controlling your emotions, understanding that there's only certain things that are within your control, and you control those, you do something about it. I'm broke. Work harder. Work smarter. Find other people to be around that would help you. Find the resources that you need. Oh, I can't find a good woman. Get a passport. Move to a different country. These are all things within your control. But you don't sit around getting emotional, crying, getting on the internet and saying, oh, you've been stood up on a date. crying about it. You do something about it. You don't sit around going, oh, why does this happen to me? Why am I the victim? No, you suck that shit up and realize that this happens to everybody. But the people who succeed are those who understand that, hey, this is life. Can I do something about it? And if you can do something about it, you find out what you can do about it and you do it. You execute. Simple. So listen, guys, this is just me explaining to you that in order to live a fulfilled life, you got to look at other philosophies in life. This doesn't interfere with your religion because Stoicism is not a religion. So if you're a Christian, you can still be a Stoic. If you're a Muslim, you can still study Stoicism. It's like it's no different than saying, oh, I'm a Muslim, but I don't study math or English. Or I'm a Christian and I don't study anything else. Be smart, guys. Expand your mind. Check out Stoicism. Let me know your thoughts. Let's have a conversation. And of course, subscribe and hit the notification button. All right. So I'll see you guys in the next one. All right. Cheers.